Buonasera, my name is Francesco and welcome to Tortellino Time. Today is Sunday and we are in for a treat as I'm cooking seafood cannelloni. And I'll start by crushing a clove of garlic, add some olive oil in a saucepan and I add the garlic. I've turned the power on low for the time being. In the meantime, I have been halving some raw prawns like this. And likewise, I've done something similar with some mussels. The large ones I've chopped in half, but the small ones I left them whole. This is one of those times where to make the meal more affordable I use previously frozen fish, and I don't think it makes that much difference to the final taste. So if you want to save some money you can use previously frozen fish. This is a piece of cod and I've already cleaned it, but I'm chopping it into small pieces. And this is one of those dishes where you can use any type of fish you like. But I would avoid anything like trouts because the flavor is a little bit earthy, or anything smoked like smoked salmon or indeed maybe kippers, because they would be a little bit too strong and they could take over the entire flavor. Garlic is beginning to sizzle and in no particular order I'll start in my fish. This is the salmon and the cod, followed by the mussels and the prawns. I'm keeping the temperature on a medium-high. I don't want to burn it equally well, I don't want to boil it, and you will see that within a minute or two the fish will start releasing some water. And there it is, you can see some water being released by the fish, and carry on mixing it until all of the water is gone. Couple of minutes, and if you look at the base, most of the water has gone, and that is an excellent time to add a third of a glass of dry white wine. Keep the temperature still medium-high and wait until the alcohol from the wine has evaporated. And in case you do not know, a way to check that is to waft some of the vapor towards your nose, and if you can smell wine or alcohol, clearly hasn't evaporated, but in my case it's all gone. I'm adding now a pinch of thyme, a little salt. I'm not going to add a lot of salt because I'll be adding cheese later and my cheese is going to be quite punchy, so I'm going to be very careful. And some pepper, quantities to taste. Semi-skimmed milk and some plain flour. I will add the flour to the milk first, and using a normal teaspoon I'm mixing it together to ensure that the flour is absorbed by the milk and the milk is cold. And I'll go along and I'll add it to my fish. And as the milk warms up, combined with the flour, will create a beautiful cream, just like bechamel sauce. And there it is, look, the milk has changed its consistency into this beautiful cream, and that is when I'm gonna add some chopped fresh tomatoes. I'll give everything a quick stir. I'll place the lid on and I'll turn the temperature down now onto a medium-low, and I'll leave it to simmer for about 20 minutes. In the meantime, I'm slicing in round circle a courgette or zucchini. This will be an addition to the cannelloni, which will give a really beautiful flavor. But nothing complicated and all very simple. New frying pan and additional olive oil. And as they are, I'll add all of my courgettes. I'll give them a good stir so that the oil covers all of them, and I'll put the lid on and I will leave them to cook in their own steam for about 10 minutes. But do remember to go in halfway through and give them a little toss, otherwise they will only cook on one side. The zucchini is done and I'm now putting them on a plate, and you'll know that they're done because they are soft to touch, but also they will have changed into this beautiful golden color. And this will go on top of my cannelloni once cooked, so I'm just marinating them with a little olive oil first, a pinch of salt, some pepper, and I'll put them on one side. And by the way, this is an excellent side dish. You do not have to cook seafood cannelloni to make zucchini like this. And the fish is also ready, and I will leave it to rest for maybe 5 to 10 minutes so that it cools down a little. But while it's still hot, I'm adding some parsley. This is parsley which I freeze when it's fresh, and then it retains a lot of its flavor. And while I'm at it, I will actually add a little on top of my zucchini as well. I always add my parsley or basil if I'm cooking tomato sauce, for example, at the end, as it releases a lot more flavor in my view. And I will leave this to cool down slightly and set for about 10 minutes so that it is slightly easier when I fill in the cannelloni. I'm sure there are better ways on how you can do this, including using a piping bag, but I haven't got any and I don't fancy using a plastic bag, so I'm using my initiative today. Cannelloni, I'm putting it vertically inside the sauce, and I'm using a little teaspoon to start filling in with my sauce. And using the handle, I'll compact it down to ensure that there are no gaps, and I just continue. Once I get to the end and I can see that it's full of sauce, I use this little spatula. I'll go underneath like this, I'll give it a little shake, and I'll move it into my oven dish like so. I don't know if there are other ways. Maybe you can let me know if you know a better way, and this might be a little bit more long-winded, but I'm not in a hurry and I know that they're getting filled properly. So I'll carry on and I'll see you once I've finished, and we'll see how many I've made. And I am on the home stretch now, and I've managed to make 12. This is my last one. I've got a little sauce left over, which I'm adding at the very top now, and this will help the top of the cannelloni cook nicely. I'm now sprinkling some grated Italian cheese. This should have been Parmesan, but I haven't got any, so I'm using Pecorino today, which is another reason why I didn't use too much salt, because Pecorino is a little bit saltier, but you can use either Pecorino or Parmesan. This is no different to a lasagna, and I'm now adding one ball of mozzarella, which I sliced earlier. And the very last ingredients before it goes in the oven, not a lot, just a tiny little amount of breadcrumbs sprinkled on the very top. This will help giving it a lovely crusty top when it's cooked. You do not need to add this, but if you do not put too much, otherwise the breadcrumbs will absorb too much of the liquid. And just like in the other video where I cook a lasagna, this will go in the oven, and temperature 180 degrees unassisted, or 200 if it's normal conventional, and they will go in for 35 minutes. The first 20 minutes covered up with my tin foil, and then for the last 15 minutes I will remove the tin foil, and then it should be ready. So I'll see you in about 40 minutes. And bang on time, 35 minutes, it's ready. I will leave it here to cool down for about 5 to 7 minutes as it's piping hot, and then I'll serve it up and I'll show you what it looks like. So see you in a little while. Having rested for a few minutes is considerably easier to cut and serve, and there is this misconception, I think, that fish and dishes like this are difficult to make. You can see that easy. It doesn't take long, and actually sometimes they're easier than the ragu ones. And of course, if you did make the zucchini, do not forget to put them on top, and they will add a tremendous amount of flavor, trust me. And I always finish the job, as of course, some vegetables with a little olive oil on top. I'll pinch one from this corner and I'll go before it gets cold, including a little zucchini. Outstanding. And the addition of the zucchini on top, the way they were cooked, is absolutely delicious. Make it and see how you get on, and if you do make it and you want some advice, drop me a line. Arrivederci, thank you, grazie, and buon appetito.